Hi everyone. We are now working on simplifying radicals, and we've got some examples here. What I'm going to focus on is getting a power that's the same as the index as much as possible. So what I mean there is breaking up 24, and if this is a third root, so I want to look for third powers. So like 1 to the third power is 1, 2 to the third power is 8. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 to the third power is 27. But I looked here, the 8 does go into this. So I'm going to make this the cube root of 8 times 3, which is the cube root of 2 to the third power times the cube root of 3. And the cube root of 2 to the third power, with those properties we just learned, is 2, and then cube root of 8. And there's my final answer there for the first example. Now on the second example, the fourth root of 48. And I'm interested, 1 to the fourth power is 1, 2 to the fourth power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 16. 3 to the fourth power is 81, and we're already bigger than the 48 here. So I'm going to rewrite this. 16 times 3 is 48. So I'm going to write the fourth root here, and I'm going to write it 16 times 3. And that's the fourth root. 16 is 2 to the fourth power times the fourth root of 3. And the fourth root of 2 to the fourth, those are inverse operations, so that's just 2. And then the fourth root of 3. Okay. And as I look back here, I wrote 8 here. Let's change that to 3. And you probably saw that in the first place. So go ahead and make that correction. Now you got 2 radical 3 and 2 radical 3, except this is a third root, this is a fourth root. So they are completely different numbers. Now, this next one, square roots. 1 to the second is 1, 2 to the second is 4, 3 to the second is 9, 4 to the second is 16, 5 to the second power is 25, and 25 goes into 75. So I'm going to split this up. I got the square root of 25 times 3. I'm also going to split up the x cubed, because I want an x squared there. X cubed is x squared times x. So if I go the square root of 5 squared, notice I did write the 2. You can do that or you don't have to. Times the square root of 3 times the square root of x squared times the square root of x. Well, what do we got here? We got 5 square root of 3 times x square root of x, if I look at each of those individually. And I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to put the 5x together, and then square root of 3 times square root of x is the square root of 3x. All right. Third example. Now we're doing a cube root. Cube roots. 8. I already knew that with the 24. How about we go ahead and cube root of 24 times, and I'm going to split up the cube root of a to the fourth. I'm going to split that up into a to the third times a. Now the cube root of 24 is 2 times cube root of 3. I already did that one. Cube root of a to the third, without splitting it up this time, is a. And then you have the cube root of a. So let me put the 2 and the a together. The 2 and the a together, that's 2a. And that's not under the radical. But what is under the radical is 3a. Cube root of 3, cube root of a, cube root of 3a. Now, number 5 here. And if you remember those properties, let's see if I have those written down. The index is even. So that's an absolute value. This is the fourth power, this is x to the fourth. So we have fourth root and fourth power cancel each other out, but since it's even, it's the absolute value of 5x. And you could leave it like that, but actually, since 5 is positive, and x might be positive or it might be negative, I can just pull the 5 out of the absolute value and put the other part in. All right, now number 6, that is a square root. And square root of 24, haven't done that one yet. Okay, square root of 24. 24, I think that's 4 times 6. So let's rewrite this. We got the square root of 4 times 6. 4 is the biggest perfect square that goes into 24. And then I'm going to rewrite x to the third as x squared times x. So I have the square root of, when I look at each part separately, 4 is 2 squared times the square root of 6 times the square root of x squared times the square root of x. Square root of 2 squared is 2. And then I got square root of 6. Square root of x squared, if you remember that property, since that's even, is the absolute value of x. In case x is negative, we need to make it positive. Although if x is negative, that won't work. Okay. I think x would have to be positive for this to be defined, so I'm not going to worry about this anymore. So 2, I said absolute value of x, but I'm just going to leave it as 2x. And then square root of 6 times the square root of x is the square root of 6x. Okay. And then 2 more examples. I want to simplify the square root of 48. I want to simplify the square root of 27. And 48, I did 16 times 3 earlier. So that's 2 times the square root of 16 times 3, which is 2 times the square root of 16 times the square root of 3, and square root of 16 is 4. So 2 times 4 times the square root of 3. And that's 8 radical 3. That's what that one is. And then minus 3, and then square root of 27. I want to split up 27 square, that's 9. So let's go 9 times 3. So it's minus 3 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 3. And that's 3, and this square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 3, and then times the square root of 3. And this is 3 times 3 is 9, so it's 9 radical 3. Now, we are not done yet, because these are considered to be like terms. It's like 8x minus 9x is negative 1x. 8 radical 3 minus 9 radical 3, the radicals are the exact same, is negative 1 radical 3. And this is my simplest answer, which I'll leave as my final answer. And then I kind of want to do the same thing here. The cube root of 16 cubed. So 2 to the third power is 8. So I'm going to change this to the cube root of 2. Let me do 8 first. 8 times 2 times x. Cube root of 8 times the cube root of 2 times cube root of x. And I'm writing more than I would normally. But cube root of 8, that's cube root of 2 to the third, that's 2. I'm going to put these, that's a cube root there, these two back together, and that's the cube root of 2x. That's the first part. Now 54 is actually a multiple of 27, so that's 27 times 2. And the cube root of 27 times 2, I'm going to make times x to the third and times x. So I've got the cube root of 27 minus, times, the cube root of 2 times the cube root of x cubed times the cube root of x. Okay, that first term. Now the cube root of 27 is 3. And then I got the cube root of 2. Cube root of x to the third is x. And the cube root of x here. Now if I put those together, I've got 3x and then cube root of 2x. And that's the minus part. I'm going to bring this down here. So that's 2 cube root of 2x minus 3x times cube root of 2x. So I kind of have that common factor of the cube root of 2x, and the coefficients, or the numbers in front of the radical, are not like terms, but I'll just write them in parentheses separately like that and make this my final answer. Okay, there we go. You guys take care.